Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is March 9, 2026. And my goodness, Xavi Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen, has dropped a bombshell of an interview where he has pretty much revealed what's going on in Barcelona and just put it all out there. He stayed quiet for the last 2 years, but no more. And you're going to be shocked by the allegations that Xavi Hernandez has made during his interview. By the way, just a heads up, this podcast will be dedicated fully to that interview because there's a lot to cover. So if you're coming here for other news, signings, tomorrow's Champions League match, that's all going to be in the next video. This podcast will completely be dedicated to the bombshell of an interview that Xavi Hernandez just dropped on the head of Laporta. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and this is the Barca News Live podcast, where not only we discuss news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section. Of course, podcasts are on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And for those of you who are watching once the podcast ends, I will put timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion. Having said all of that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to hit the Goal Kids, Kid Bag, or Fanatics. If you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. Now, having said all of that, let's dive right into the news because today, ladies and gentlemen, Xavi Hernandez dropped an absolute bombshell of an interview where he pretty much let everything that he has been holding on inside in the past 2 years, just let it all out. And he has made some insane, not completely insane, some shocking allegations that some of them we kind of already knew, some of them we suspected, but definitely one hell of a bombshell of an interview that pretty much has taken the world like a firestorm, especially the social media world where people are going insane after everything that Xavi Hernandez had to say. Now, disclaimers. There's a lot to cover here, by the way. There's a lot to cover in the interview. And like I said, this whole podcast is going to be dedicated to the interview. So if you're looking for football news or players, signings, Champions League, that's all in the next video, but this podcast is going to be completely about the interview of Xavi Hernandez. And before I break it down, I want to go over some disclaimers. Why? Because I already know. I already know what's coming. They're going to come all Laporta's minions and bootlickers in the comment section going absolutely nuts. I mean, it's already going on in social media, right? People have gone full force, attacking Xavi Hernandez, calling him all kinds of names, calling him a traitor. You know, these are the same people, by the way, who used to come at me full force when I used to say Xavi Hernandez was a terrible coach. But now that Xavi has said something about Laporta, all of a sudden, he is Satan himself, and we have to do everything to discredit him and insult him and et cetera, right? Anyways, so I already know what these people are going to say, so let me save myself some typing and let me address the same 3 points that these minions always like to address whenever I make a video criticizing Laporta. Number one, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Choosing a different candidate than John Laporta does not make you a traitor. Okay, FC Barcelona is not John Laporta and John Laporta is not FC Barcelona. Learn to differentiate. Learn to separate. FC Barcelona is an entity that exists independently from Laporta and from anyone else. John Laporta, just like any other president, or board member, or football player, or coach, is just an employee that comes to the club, works there for a few years, and then is gone. The club has long existed before Laporta, and it will continue to exist after John Laporta. So Barca is not Laporta, and Laporta is not Barca. So choosing a different candidate does not make Xavi a traitor to the club. Choosing Real Madrid, for example, that makes you a traitor to the club. Choosing a different candidate, that does not make him a traitor. If anything, it makes him more of a culé than most of these minions. Because Xavi is exercising his right as a soci, that right that was given to him by the club, to choose, vote, and endorse whichever candidate he pleases to do. Meanwhile, Laporta's minions and bootlickers, I can guarantee you, I'll even bet an entire month's salary that 100% of them are not even socios. They've never voted for a president, and they cannot vote for a president. So please, don't come to me lecturing me about Xavi and him being a traitor, because he's just exercising his civic duty, if you want to put it that way, as a Barcelona soci. He's doing more than you are, because he's taking time out of his own day to listen to the candidates, to choose a candidate, to support a candidate, to vote for a candidate. He's doing everything in his power to, well, exercise his right to vote and influence what happens with Barcelona. What are you doing with your day? Also, if you think that because Xavi Hernandez is choosing a different candidate makes him a traitor, then this club is not for you. Because by that logic, if a country holds a presidential election and half the people vote for one guy and the other half of the people vote for another guy, and the people who voted for the guy that's different than you are traitors, that means they should be charged with treason, hung, and killed, right? And that's what you're advocating for. Well, that, my friend, is called authoritarianism. That's called a dictatorship. And here at Barcelona, we have pluralism. We have democracy. Okay, más que un club, remember that? That not only means that this club is owned by its socios, it means that the socios get to pick who their president is every 5 years. If you don't like that, if you want one guy and one guy only calling all the shots, and you want that guy not to have any kind of competition or candidates to oppose him, go to Real Madrid, because that's exactly what they have. One guy only, Florentino Perez. He has no opposition. There are no other candidates to choose from. It's just that guy. He calls the shot, and that's it. But if you want pluralism, then welcome to Barcelona. And pluralism means being okay with there being different options and being okay with people choosing those options. Now, second point, for people who like to say, well, Xavi is just butthurt. He's choosing Víctor Font because Laporta fired him. Let me make something clear. Xavi Hernandez already supported Víctor Font in the 2021 elections. That is way before Laporta hired him and way before Laporta fired him. So if you think that Xavi is picking Font out of spite, you are wrong. Third point, for people who like to say, well, Xavi should, he shouldn't come out and support someone in public. He should be like Iniesta and Messi, who keep quiet. Well, my response to you is, who the fuck are you to tell what Xavi should say and shouldn't say? I mean, you get to share your opinion. Why shouldn't Xavi? He's a soci. He's not linked to the club anymore. He's not a coach. He's not a board member. He's not a player. Who the fuck are you to tell Xavi Hernandez what he should give his opinion on and why he shouldn't? If anything, his opinions carries way more weight than yours. Because Xavi Hernandez knows Laporta on a personal level. He's worked with him. You and I don't. We've never met Laporta. Well, actually, I met him outside of a stadium really briefly, but I haven't really met him. But you and I haven't met Laporta. We haven't worked with him. We don't know how he is as a person. All we know is what we see on cameras. So if anything, Xavi's opinion weighs a lot more than yours. And we should listen to it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it sure carries a lot more weight than yours. And again, who the fuck are you to tell Xavi Hernandez what he should opine on and why he shouldn't? It's like people who come to the comment section and say, Mo, you should just stick to the news and not give your opinion. And I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do and what not to do with my channel? How self-entitled are you that you think the world revolves around you, and just because you don't like something, everyone else has to drop what they're doing and listen to you? So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to continue giving you the news. I'm going to continue giving you my opinion. If you like it, great. Welcome to the channel. We have an amazing community. And if you don't like, well, my friend, go fuck yourself. I say that with lots of love because here's the thing. If you cannot handle different opinions, then that is not my problem. That is yours, my friend. You need to grow the fuck up. You need to mature emotionally and you need to mature mentally because different opinions are all around you. They're at your house with your family. They're on the street with your friends. They're at your work with your coworkers. And if your only response to different opinions is to have a meltdown, to call people names, to call for censorship, then my friend, your family, your parents, your school, your friends, whatever, have failed you because they have not taught you how to deal with different opinions. And not only have your system around you failed you, but you are failing evolution because what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom is that we are rational beings. We can think, we can rationalize, and that's a beautiful thing. That's exactly what has gotten us to this point where we have metal tubes full of hundreds of people that can fly, where we have the internet. Right now, I can be talking to you and you could be watching me all across the world live. That's crazy. You know how we got to that point? Diversity of opinion, my friend, diversity of thought. And here you are having a meltdown because a person who you've never met has a different opinion than you about another person that you also haven't met. You see how retarded that is? I hope you do. Anyways, with those disclaimers out of the way that no, Xavi is not a traitor for choosing someone else, that no, Xavi's not choosing Font because Laporta fired him. He was already back in Font way back in the day. And 3, who the fuck are you to tell Xavi what he should do or not do? Let's cover the interview because, ladies and gentlemen, my goodness, we have some crazy fucking statements. Starting with the following. After my departure, I decided not to make any statements out of respect for Barca. People know how much I love the club. My whole family are Barca fans. But I feel the need to explain myself. I've been carrying this inside and I need to clarify things. In fact, I signed for Barca thanks to him, talking about John Laporta, but he ended up letting me down. Why? He dismissed me as coach without telling me the truth. Influenced by someone I believe is above the president, Alejandro Echevarria. Continue. In other words, it was Alejandro who dismissed me as coach. That's how this Barca works. It's practically run by Alejandro Echevarria. He was someone with whom I had a very close, friendly relationship. That's why perhaps the biggest disappointment in my departure from Barca was with him. He failed me completely. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. That is some crazy accusations, which, by the way, there have been reporters in Barcelona saying this for a while, saying it's not actually John Laporta who runs things, it's people behind the scene like Alejandro Echevarria. So we've already heard these accusations before, but now this is not coming from reporters. This is coming from Xavi Hernandez himself, someone who worked at the club alongside Laporta and Alejandro Echevarria. Now, if you don't know who Alejandro Echevarria is, he is the former brother-in-law of John Laporta. I say former because he's the brother of an ex-wife of Laporta. So they used to be brother-in-law, and Laporta got divorced, but he continued his relationship with Alejandro Echevarria. They're very good friends, and he is one of those people that has no official role at the club. He was not elected as a board member. He was not officially hired by the club. Nobody knows what the fuck he does, but he's always there. He's always in the meetings. He's always in the locker room talking to the players. We've seen him on a training ground talking to the players, talking to the coaches. We know he's there. We know he has some kind of power. We don't know what. And again, he has no official role, right? This is what I've been complaining about for quite some time. This is what Font has been complaining about quite some time, is that Laporta has surrounded himself by his buddies that hold no official roles, they are not elected, they are not hired, but they're there. What do? We don't know. And now, Xavi Hernandez telling you it's actually Echevarria who runs the club, not Laporta. Now, this is a big problem because socios, including me, voted for Laporta to be president. We did not vote for Echevarria to be president. So you see how this is a big problem, because the whole point of having elections is that as socios, we get to choose who we want the club to run. And if we don't like how that person is running it, well, we get to vote him out and vote someone else in. But if you vote for one guy and it turns out that someone else is running the club, that's a big problem. Now, I always say follow the money. And if you don't know, by the way, Alejandro Echevarria, there's no proof that he donated to Joan Laporta's bond because per the bylaws of the club, you have to put 15% of the club's revenue as a bond, which is about 152 million. That's money that you put up. It gets held in an escrow account, and if you fuck up or something or you steal from the club, that bonds get taken away, and the people who put up that bond, they lose their money. Now, there's no proof or that Alejandro Echevarria put up that money, but there is proof that Alejandro Echevarria was instrumental in convincing Banco Sabadell to put up some of the money for Joan Laporta's bond. Always follow the money. But insane allegations by Xavi Hernandez, again, accusing Alejandro Echevarria of being the person who's actually running the club, not Joan Laporta. Now, let's do some comments again. As I said, this whole podcast is going to be dedicated to the interview that Xavi Hernandez did, so I'm going to be taking breaks in between. But let's talk about, let's do some comment section, and then we are going to talk about Xavi Hernandez's firing because he has spoken about that. But first, I want to see what you guys think about the allegations that, well, it's Echevarria who runs the club, not Laporta. David Blandon says, Mo, greatest hit. We have done it. And wow, a bit rocky. And Chelsea. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that comment. It's good to have some humor in this crazy times because, there's going to be more videos about this, by the way, because we've also had a debate between Laporta and Font. It's been a crazy fucking day. Nathan says, hi, Mo. Question, what if Louis van Gaal wanted to coach Barcelona on what season, 2017 to 2020 when Valverde coached, or 2020, 2024 when Koeman and Xavi coached? Ooh. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I mean, I believe since between Luis Enrique and Hansi Flick, I mean, that whole period of Valverde, Setien, Koeman, Xavi, that's a period of time in Barcelona that I would love to forget because they were all shitty coaches. So I would say the entire period. I would say both. Alexis says, honestly, I don't even think Xavi has the right to talk anymore. He publicly said as the coach, Barca is the worst job and that he wouldn't compete with Real Madrid. He was so negative and disrespectful. Oh, now it's a problem when Xavi Hernandez speaks. But when I used to say these things, when I used to criticize Xavi Hernandez for always talking about shit about how bad of a job it is to coach Barcelona, I was Satan himself. I was not a Barca fan. I was a Madridista. But now, since Xavi says it while criticizing Laporta, all of a sudden, it's Xavi who's the Satan, not me. Well, I'm glad I'm not Satan anymore. But here's the thing, my friend. As a coach, 100%, I agree with you. As a coach, Xavi Hernandez, I was the first guy who used to say, fire him. Fire him, fire him, fire him. But here's the thing. He's not speaking as a coach. He's speaking as a soci. And as someone who worked at the club, someone who knows Laporta personally, someone who's worked with Joan Laporta side to side. So I think there is some things to hear. But of course, Laporta's minions are never going to hear the truth. They always going to want to hear what they want to hear because, well, it just fits their narrative. Brasca says, every time Barca makes a signing, Tebas says we can't sign him, but we actually sign him. Every Barca fan who believes anything Tebas says is plastic. I honestly don't even believe that Javier Tebas' name is actually Javier Tebas because, like you said, that guy is just full of shit. But that's just my opinion. Says Laporta keeps lying about every contract and deadline, but we're supposed to believe that Xavi's the one lying here and these Laporta bootlickers are something else. I agree with that, my friend, because yes, you're right. When someone lies, oh, they're a liar, forget about it. Laporta literally lies. Laporta's a compulsive liar, right? He's a compulsive liar, bro. He's lied about everything. And every time he does, people just forget. But when someone else does, they need to be out. They're the worst, blah, 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 blah. And here's the crazy. People get mad at me when I point to the fact that Laporta lied about something. And it's like, bro, why are you mad at me? I'm just pointing it out. You should be mad at the person who's lying to you. Laporta's pissing in your face, and you're sitting there with your mouth open like, thanks, daddy. Keep peeing in my mouth. And yet I'm the problem. Like, you guys understand that I voted for Laporta, right? People who say, oh, you just hate Laporta. Because that's the only counter argument that their underdeveloped minds can come up with is, oh, you just hate Laporta. Okay, you just love Laporta. There we go. Counter argument. See how retarded that sounds? Well, that's how retarded you sound. But they're mad at me when I point to the lies. And it's like, bro, I'm not the one lying to you. This is like your girlfriend cheating on you, and your buddy tells you, hey, your girlfriend's cheating on you, and you beat up your buddy. I'm not saying you should beat up your girlfriend, but how about you get mad at your girlfriend and break up with her instead of beating up your buddy? Noor Hassan says, Mo, what's your opinion? Do you believe everything Xavi said in the interview, or he mixed truth with some lies? I'm sure he mixed in some lies in there. I'm sure that he has, because after all, yeah, I'm sure part of it is also because he's butthurt. But of course, I've got to go over one by one, because starting with the Alejandro Echevarria, obviously we cannot say that for sure he's telling the truth because we don't know, right? But there is some reason to believe that there is some truth to that, because like I've said, Echevarria has no role in the club. He has not been elected. He has not been hired by the club, but he's always there. And there's been a lot of whisper in Barcelona already that he's the one running things. And now Xavi comes out and says the same thing. So am I going to dismiss it completely as a lie? No, because there is some, you can see that there could be some truth to it based on things that have already happened. But can I say 100% it's true? No, because I don't know, right? So I'm sure there's some things are true, some things are lies, and some things are somewhere in between, right? There's always two sides to any story. Let's see. Flaco says, how was Messi going to get registered when Gavi couldn't even get registered? I don't know, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Don't worry, don't worry. It's coming, my friend. It's coming. Marcus says, I think with all that's happening at Barca right now, it's pretty interesting. I'm liking the spices. Indeed, we are more than a club, but yeah, politics is unique. Xavi has the right to speak. Bro, aren't you glad you're a Barca fan? Because where else do you get this much trauma? Jesus Christ. Raul says, hello, Mo. It's been a while. I'm so happy to catch up with you today. Keep up the good, and God bless you. No, my friend, God bless you. And God bless all my Barca News family. Thank you guys for joining me. And let's get back to it, because we have to continue to cover Xavi Hernandez's interview, because there's more. There's more. We started out with a bang, right? We started out with, yo, it's not even Laporta running things. It's Echevarria. All right. Let's get to part two. Part two, we're going to talk about now Xavi Hernandez's firing, because Xavi has also spilled the beans on this, saying the following. In January of my last season as coach, I told them that I wouldn't continue after June for the good of the club and for my own personal good. Right? This is when he resigned. From then on, the team kept winning. And for 2 or 3 months, until we lost in the Champions League to PSG and in La Liga to Real Madrid, they kept telling me I had to stay, crying to convince me. I actually had a face-to-face meeting with Alejandro, talking about Echevarria, of course, because I know he's the one who makes all the decisions. Whew. Continue to make that, pounding that nail, that it's Echevarria who runs things. And I asked him how he saw it. I said, look, I have doubts because you're telling me to continue, but I'm not sure. And he told me, yes, they were preparing for next year, planning, that the president was clear about it, and then came to the elimination against PSG. At that moment, Alejandro called me. I remember because I was coming from school with the kids and said we had to meet, that they'd had a board meeting and most of them weren't sure about my continuity. Or my continuing. I think that's supposed to be my continuity. Anyways, Alejandro told me to come to the training ground, and I told him there was no problem, that I had already said I was leaving and didn't need to continue. Okay? We continue. Like that. Wasn't purposeful. At the president's house, this was the sushi dinner, remember? Xavi resigns in January. The next 2 months, they're like, stay, 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 stay. Barcelona lose to PSG and to Real Madrid. And then they're like, okay, we don't know if we want you to stay anymore. And then the sushi dinner happens. At the president's house, Laporta, who later also didn't tell the truth, convinced me to continue. He said, and I quote, "Xavi, I can't see the team without you. I can't see the new Camp Nou without you. I can't see the club's 125th anniversary without you as coach. And since I still had motivation and saw a great future for the team with a talented young generation coming up, I felt capable. I only asked, what was the problem? A planning meeting arrived with my entire staff and with Raul Martinez and Julio Touz. These are the two new physical trainers that Barcelona hired who are still under, oh my God, the balloons, who are still under Hansi Flick. New physical trainers we had agreed with Alejandro and Deco would join. That's when Alejandro started shouting that the physical preparation was a disaster. And was it true? It was talked about in the media. I interrupted him and told him that that wasn't the case. There are statistics that show that since 2003, no Barca team has run more than our league champion. We never lost due to physical issues. That was the story they told. They wanted to get rid of me as coach, and one of those who contributed was Raul Martinez, another close friend who was brought into Alejandro's story to get rid of me. Who bought into Alejandro's story to get rid of me. So again, here's a timeline. And by the way, this timeline does match. Xavi resigns in January. For the next 2 months, Laporta is trying to convince him to stay. Which, you guys remember at the time, I used to make videos, be like, what the fuck is this board doing? Why are we begging Xavi to stay? Xavi sucks. He shouldn't be the coach. But remember, I was Satan. Now it's Xavi Satan because he's criticizing Laporta. Then, this is new part of the timeline that we didn't know. PSG loss happens, and apparently the board starts telling Xavi, maybe we don't want you to continue. That I did not know. Or maybe it's a lie. But that wasn't part of the timeline so far. And then the sushi dinner comes. We knew about the sushi dinner, right? That's when Laporta is like, all right, Xavi's staying. The following day, there's a press conference. They're all hugging each other. They're like, we're all one big family. And again, I made videos. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? The guy already resigned. Let him go. He fucking sucks as a coach. Again, I was Satan for saying that. Now it's Xavi who's Satan for confirming that because he's criticizing Laporta. And then, of course, they fire him. And what's the story they sell us is that there's a problem with the team's preparation, which, by the way, a lot of people bought. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to make videos and say, what the fuck are they talking about? This is not a preparation problem. This is not a running problem. This is a football problem. We have a coach who has no idea what he's doing. We have a coach who has no system, no plan, nothing. And he just has 11 players on the field, all playing individually, trying to figure out what to do. That's not a problem of physical trainers. It's a problem of we have no football idea. Like there's nothing. Anyways, we continue. But remember, I was saying for saying that. Now it's Xavi who's saying for saying that. I asked him what his exact position was because Deco, the sporting director, and Bojan, his assistant, were present. That's when he decided I wouldn't be continuing, but instead of telling me to my face and saying, look, you're out, 2 or 3 weeks went by. Remember this? We also talked about this in a previous on the channel because I said, look, Xavi should be fired, no doubt about it. He should have never been back to stay. They should have never confirmed him that he was staying. He should have been fired. He should have been let go since the moment he resigned. But what Laporta did was fucked up because Laporta begs Xavi to stay, convinces him to stay, takes all those pictures hugging him, like, oh, he's staying. We're one big family. Hoorah. And then turns around 3 weeks later and fucking fires him. What the fuck? And again, I'm not defending Xavi staying because I've always said Xavi sucks as a coach. Remember? Now all of a sudden everybody agrees because he's criticizing Laporta. But what's the problem is, why did you have to do that? Why didn't you just let him go from the moment he resigned? Why did you have to go through all that, convince him to stay, do the press conference, only to go around and fire him? How you do things matters, right? And that at that time, me, who was the first guy who used to attack Xavi all the time, had to come out and defend him because what Laporta did to him was fucked up. And then, of course, they sold us the whole... They used the excuse that, oh, the team wasn't... It was a physical trainer problem, which he wasn't. Now, we continue because there's more. there's more with the firing. They launched a media campaign against me. And what's worse and more disappointing, Alejandro went around talking to players like Sergi Roberto, Araujo, Pedri, and Rafinha, telling them that I wanted to sell them. This is huge. This is a big, big, big one. That still hurts because it's not true. We made a plan because we were very constrained by fair play regulations and we only discussed making one sale. In fact, we planned it with Jordi and Mateo. We were only letting go of one player. Which player? I prefer not to say out of respect for that player. I think it was probably Frankie, if not Ferran. But let's continue. I remember those 2 or 3 weeks went by without him answering my calls or messages. I trusted Laporta and Alejandro was my friend, but he's the one who kicked me out of the club. There was a moment when Sergi Roberto, who is my friend and was captain, came to me and said, Xavi, do you really not want me to continue? And I told him it was the complete opposite, that they were killing me precisely for defending his renewal. And then he told me that Mr. Alejandro was spreading the same message to several players. I've always been upfront. I did it with Piqué, a teammate for years, and with Jordi Alba, my friend. I told him it was time to leave. Why wouldn't I do with the others? I've been holding back, but the president is saying I wanted 10 players to leave, and that's not true. I respected him, but Deco is tied down by Echevarria, who is the one who really decides. Right now, I don't think I'll ever go back to Barca. I've already completed my time as a player and coach. So Xavi Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen, revealing that, because we also covered that on the channel, how about there were some players really upset in the locker room because supposedly a list had been leaked where Xavi had put players on the list of that they needed to be sold. And Xavi said that he never did that, that it was Alejandro Echevarria who went around with that story to kind of create division between the locker room and Xavi Hernandez to justify his firing. And then, of course, they followed it with a media campaign, which, as we know, this club or this board has done that a lot. Remember the campaign against Ter Stegen when Barcelona wanted to kick him out, right? Oh, he didn't fly to Inter Milan even though he was injured, and injured players don't fly with the team. Oh, he didn't give the speech, even though no captain gave any speeches. Oh, he said this. Oh, he said that. Remember Frankie de Jong? And Barcelona wanted to get rid of Frankie de Jong. Remember, oh, he didn't show up to training and he said it was flu, but he never reported it. This board does this all the time. When they want to get rid of someone, instead of just having the balls and going and be like, yo, that's it, we don't want you. No, they first start doing a media campaign, talk shit about that person, make them look bad. The public buys into it. So then it's easy, right? Oh, we got rid of this guy. Oh, we don't care. We all fucking hate him. This board does that all the time. And we know they did it to Xavi. We know they've done it to many, many other players. But the crazy thing is, so we already knew obviously about the social media campaigns or the media campaigns. They do it all the time. And of course, a lot of Barca fans gobble it up with a spoon because unfortunately this day and age, people just cannot think for themselves and cannot even rationalize whatsoever. But the whole Alejandro Echevarria going around sowing hate in the locker room, that to me is crazy. Anyways, let's get back to the comment section and then we are going to talk about Leo Messi because yes, the Messi topic got also involved or was also brought up. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Valeriano said Tebas come out today and said there was agreement to bring Messi back. We're talking about Tebas' response. Well, what Xavi said, what Laporta responded, what Tebas responded, and what Messi's entourage responded. Don't worry, my friend. I got you. I told you there's going to be a detailed podcast. We're going to cover a lot. I got you. Valeriano said Clues made a video of Alejandro Echevarria, also state he was around other Barca president. Whew. Evgeny says, these uncles are making my club into some mob shit show. I hope they don't ruin everything. Man, I hope so. Well, I hope not. Sorry. Let's see. Barca 2834 says, Mo, in 1820, they said 14 million. Turn to the 1-1 rule. It's 2026 now. We're almost there, bro. We're almost there. Sabin says Xavi was the one who asked for Ferran. Instead, we should have gone for Alvarez. Actually, no. Ferran was Matteo Alemani's choosing, which, as much as I love Matteo Alemani, that was definitely his biggest blunder. bring in Ferran Torres. But no, Ferran was not Xavi's request. It was, what's his name? Matteo Alemany. I literally just said his name and I already blanked. Spooky says, I respect Xavi so much, but him destabilizing the club with that interview. No, that's not destabilizing the club. Again, we gotta start learning. The same way I used to tell you guys when I would criticize Xavi that we need to separate Xavi the player from Xavi the coach because they're two different personalities. As a player, absolute legend, one of the greatest players in the history of our club. As a coach, mediocre at best. The same way I've always used to say, separate those two. You need to separate Barcelona from Laporta because Barcelona is not Laporta and Laporta is not Barcelona. Xavi saying these things about Laporta hurts Laporta. It doesn't hurt the club. It hurts Laporta because Laporta is not the club, okay? Let's make that clear. Let's see. Ahmad says, Mo, if Barca receive around 10 to 15 million, the amount of money needed for the one-to-one rule mid-season, when we activate it, would Barca have to wait for the summer? I mean, you can't sign until the summer, so it doesn't matter if we reach the one-to-one right now, next month, or May. The market doesn't open until June 30th. Let's see. Stefan says, drop his shit just before an important UCL match against Newcastle is an anti-Barca act. No, my friend. An anti-Barca act is you preferring that truth be buried, that people mismanaging the club not be exposed. That's being anti-Barca. So no, exposing what's going on inside and bringing attention to it and saying, look, this is not okay. That's not anti-Barca. That's 100% culé shit. And that's what people are supposed to do, is come out and say, look, something is not right, and I'm going to let you know about it because I love the club. Anti-Barca is what his league match tomorrow. What kind of fucking retarded thinking is that? Oh, Bartomeu, it's okay. Let's ignore that. He can continue doing whatever the fuck he wants. Oh, because we have a match tomorrow. You fucking kidding me? Have we not learned our lesson from what Bartomeu did only a few years ago? Some people are acting like Bartomeu was 100 years ago, so we don't even remember. Bartomeu was doing shit, bad shit, way before the election. And yet, he got reelected. He defeated Laporta, by the way. Laporta ran against him. And he defeated Laporta. Why? Because he won the Trebel. And that's what you're trying to do here. Oh, let's ignore all the bad shit because we have a Newcastle. Are you fucking kidding me? Have you not learned anything? My fucking God, man. My fucking God. Jesus Christ. What are we dealing with here? Wow. This is like next level stupidity. But anyways, Chris Cross says, bro, I just want this shit to blow over so we can get back to football. But here's the thing, my friend. Without this, there is no football. Right? I know people don't want to think about the election or hear about the election, but guess what? Elections determines who runs the club. Who runs the club determines whether we have football or not. Remember, Bartomeu almost bankrupted this club and we almost had no football. So this matters, my friends. This matters. And sweeping it under the rug just because the truth is uncomfortable, that's not the right solution. Bisca Michael says, Mo, can we petition you to vote for all of us? If we have 100 likes, you take over there in Spain to vote against Laporta. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to be able to vote because, Laporta decided to make it in person. Let's see. McBarsa says, Bo, you actually talked about the Messi transfer. You even explained the deal was done, but FFP is impossible. That's a great segue, my friend, because let's talk about Messi, because Xavi Hernandez also had some things to say about Messi, especially about those rumors going on that Barcelona were trying to bring Messi back in 2023. Let's go. Now, Xavi Hernandez, in regards to Messi, said the president wasn't telling the truth about that either. Leo was signed in January 2023. After becoming world champion, we got in touch and he told me he was excited to come back. And I could see that. We talked until March, and I said, okay, When you've given me the go-ahead, I'll tell the president because I can see it from a footballing point of view. The president began negotiating the contract with Leo's father, and we had the green light from La Liga. But it was the president who threw it all away. Laporta told me word for word that if Leo came back, he would wage war on him and that he couldn't allow that to happen. And then suddenly Leo stopped answering my calls because the other side had told him it couldn't be done. I called his father and said, "This can't be, Jorge." And he said, "Talk to the president." I insisted that we had been talking to Leo for 5 months. It was a done deal. There were no doubts on the footballing side. Financially, we were going to Montjuic, and we were going to do a last dance like Jordan's. Everything was ready. Yes, because I thought I was involved. Here's talking about his relationship with Messi. Like that, if Messi stopped talking to him and then it has improved. But anyways, yes, because he thought I was involved in the plot. It affected my relationship with Leo a lot. But now it's back to normal. I was dying for Leo to come back, and I still think that he would help the team score goals and make those final passes without a doubt. But he's going to play in the World Cup. Leo would be successful again at Camp Nou, and it was his wish and mine. He knows that now, but for a while, I couldn't communicate with him. It was a shame, but it was the fault of those who are there. So, more scathing accusations where Xavi saying that deal was done, that the club had negotiated for Messi's return in 2023, that the club had received the green light from La Liga to register his contract, and it was Joan Laporta who decided to kill the deal because he believed that if Messi came back to the club, he would affect his chances at re-election because, as you know, Leo Messi has beef with Joan Laporta after Messi was forced to leave to PSG. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll say this. If it is true, this is also a problem because as a president, you're supposed to act and do things based on what's best for the club. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think bringing Messi back is what's best for the club. I think that chapter is over. But at the time, if Xavi, if everyone in the club thought that the best thing was to bring Messi back, and the only reason it was killed, that deal was killed, was because Laporta was thinking about his re-election campaign, that is a problem. Because again, as Sochis, including me, because I voted for Laporta, we voted for a guy that was supposed to do what's best for the club, not what's best for his re-election campaign. And that is important. And again, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't think that bringing Messi back was best for the club. By the way, I wish Messi can come back for a goodbye, but not as a player. Maybe a friendly match against Inter Miami. I don't know. But definitely not as a player. I think that chapter is over, but that's neither here nor there. Now, after Xavi said that, Laporta responded. And this is what the Barcelona presidential candidate had to say. It was the same with Messi. When we couldn't renew his contract due to financial reasons in 2023, he told me that Messi wanted to return. I sent the contract to Jorge Messi, who later came to my house and told me that he would have too much pressure here, or too much here pressure. I don't know what's up with that translation. But so Joan Laporta confirming that, yes, the club were close to bringing Messi back in 2023. But unlike Xavi, who claims it was Laporta who killed the deal, Laporta is saying that it was actually Jorge Messi, the dad, who killed the deal because Messi felt like it would be too much pressure if he gone back to Barcelona. Now, this is important because this confirms half of Xavi's story that, yes, the club were negotiating to bring Messi back, right? This is the first time I think Laporta has admitted that, yes, we were trying to bring Messi back in 2023. Xavi says Laporta killed it. Laporta says, no, it was Jorge Messi. Now, the plot thickens. Yes, aren't you glad you're a Barca fan? Look at all these fucking twists. But the plot thickens because Javier Tebas responded. He said, it's not true. La Liga did not authorize anything whatsoever, nor did it have the okay. So Javier Tebas saying that the part about Barcelona receiving the green light from La Liga to bring back Messi is not true. The plot thickens more. You ready? So it's been a crazy fucking day. Now, a reporter who is very close to Messi, I forgot his name, Sergio something, said the following after everybody else. Said that he reached out to Messi's entourage and he said the following. What Messi's entourage is saying is that the truth is coming out little by little and there's still more to come. Messi accepts Xavi's version of events. According to what his entourage is saying, yes. So, Xavi's entourage are saying that Messi's entourage are saying that Xavi is telling the truth, that yes, Messi was going to go back to Barca, but it was Laporta who killed the deal because he was afraid that Messi would hinder his re-election campaign. Laporta confirming that yes, Barcelona were trying to bring Messi back, but it was Jorge Messi who killed the deal because Messi was going to feel too much pressure at Barca. By the way, I don't believe that, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't see Messi worrying about the pressure anyways. And then finally, Javier Tebas say, look, we're going to give the green light. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I just want to go back smoking crack and being a Real Madrid dick rider. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but, I'm paraphrasing. So, my question to you is, who do you believe? Do you believe Xavi and Messi's entourage, who's not Messi officially? It's his entourage. Gotta be fair here. Do you believe Laporta? I don't even want to ask if you believe Javier Tebas, but you believe Javier Tebas, because fuck that guy. But let me know, because conflicting stories here, conflicting versions. One thing for sure is, since it is confirmed by both Xavi and Laporta, is that Barcelona did try to bring Messi back in 2023. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about John Laporta's response. Man, this is like a freaking rap battle, Xavi came out like Tupac and hit him up. He's like, so I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. And then, Laporta is going to come back like Biggie, who shot ya? Separate the weak from the obsolete. All right, let's go back to the comment section before I start rapping. Let's see. Kern says, today I saw a game in Brazil where every player got a red card. Oh, dude, I saw that. That was insane. Even the players on the bench and the staff. Yes, I saw that. That was crazy. I forgot what the teams are, but I saw that. It was this guy. I don't know if he's a center forward. He's an attacker. He's going to head the ball. Goalkeeper comes out and they clash, right? They crash. They both fall. Goalkeeper comes up, pulls a Rudiger, puts his knee in the face of the attacker while screaming at him, like, fuck you. I don't know what he's saying. He said, "Pai porra." That's all I know in Portuguese, which literally means semen, but it translates to, they use it as fuck. Not too fuck, but like, fuck. I lost my phone. Porra. I lost my phone, right? So anyways, goalkeeper gets up, pulls a Rudiger, puts his knee in the face of the attacker, and he's like yelling at him. His teammates come, push the goalkeeper against the fucking pole. Goalkeeper falls in goal. Start fucking swinging. The other team comes on. They start swinging. The bench comes out. It's a brawl, man. It's like 23 versus 23 players. People are swinging. They're like jumping in the air and fucking throwing kicks. It's crazy. It's like a UFC match. You guys need to see it. But yes, I did see it. I mean, I would show you, but of course, copyrights, unfortunately, I would get shut down. But definitely Google it. Definitely Google it because it's crazy. It's crazy. Zach Herbert says, Bo, I have a feeling Laporta screwed now. Xavi really nutmegged him with his with this LOL. I don't think so. I'll tell you why. Because as we've seen, Sochis don't really care what's happening at the club. They only care what the first team is doing, right? We saw it. We saw it in what election was it? 2016, I think. Was that the election? Or 2015, something like that. With Bartomeu, right? In fact, Laporta ran against Bartomeu and lost. Even though at that point, Bartomeu was already wasting the club's money, mismanaging the club, fucking craziness. But the Socios were like, who cares? We just want a treble. So who gives a fuck, right? And now the team is doing great, thank God. Flick is amazing. The players are having a great time. We're winning. The Socios don't care, man. The Socios, as long as the first team is winning, we can have fucking Hitler reincarnated be the president, and they wouldn't care. I mean, shit. You see the fans in the comment section what the shit that they say. But anyways. Blaurana X says, if Ferran does transfer next season, do you think that he will fit better at Chelsea next season? Bro, I don't care where he fits, but please, someone take him. Ferran, please, bro. I mean, I will start a club and hire you for that club. But please leave Barca. Please, 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 please. Let's see. Barca got culture says, this gave me the same vibe when they were getting rid of Ronaldinho. A bunch of lies, mistreatment, and a bad captain. I don't remember what was going on when Ronaldinho left, because I know Pep got rid of him and Deco and Eto'o, because they were partying too much. They weren't disciplined. But I don't know what was actually happening with the club itself, because at the time I was a Barca fan, but I wasn't really paying attention to like who was president or who was doing what, who was on the board. I would just watch the matches and that's it. My interest in who's president and who's not and what the board is up to, that really didn't start for me until the Bartomeu era. Before that, I was just a football fan. I would just watch the matches, keep track of transfers, but I didn't know what was going on in the boardroom. And I didn't start taking interest in that until the Bartomeu era, because I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on, bro? Let's see. Let's do one more. Neo9up says, I honestly think that Messi stuff is false. I know Xavi wants what's best for the club, just like the rest of us, but using the Messi situation to put us against Laporta is disappointing to see. I thought that too. I was like, I hope Xavi's not using Messi's name like all these candidates, including Laporta, have been using his name. But after, and this was pretty late in the day when that reporter, let me look up what's his name, and I'll tell you. And let's see. Can look it up right now. Until Sique Rodriguez came out and said that Messi's entourage are actually confirming Xavi's version. I don't know. Maybe there is some truth to it. I don't know. Until I hear it from Messi, I guess maybe I'll always have my doubt, but I wouldn't completely dismiss it since his entourage, or according to Sique Rodriguez, his entourage are saying that. Or confirming it. But anyways, let's do the last bit of news. Not the last bit of news, the last portion of this podcast. And then again, next video I'm posting is actually back to football and Champions League match and all that stuff. This was all about this battle, this rap battle between Xavi and Laporta. Because yes, Laporta replied. He said, I see you, bruh. And here's my diss track. Now, this is what Laporta said in response to Xavi Hernandez. I was surprised and hurt when I see these statements from Xavi. I think of Flick. It's hard to be president of Barca, and you have to make difficult decisions. I did what I had to do. I don't think firing Xavi would have been a difficult decision, because it was clearly he was a terrible coach. What you shouldn't have done is beg him to stay, convince him to stay, and then fire him. That's what you shouldn't have done. If anything, if you didn't want to do a difficult decision, you could have just let him left. He fucking resigned. Why did you convince him to stay? He sucked. And then you would have looked great. Oh, he left. I didn't have anything to do. He resigned. Boom, you wash your hands of the whole situation. Anyways, with Xavi, I saw that we were going to lose. And with Flick, I see that we are going to win. I understand that he is hurt. With the same players, Xavi was losing and Flick is winning. Pop, 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 pop. Those are the size of the shots. Laporta firing at Xavi. It hurts me that he allowed himself to be used and that he attacked Alejandro Echevarria to hurt me. Echevarria and Yuste, talking about Rafa Yuste, the vice president, defended Xavi's continuity until the end. Now, I 100% agree with Laporta. And I've been saying that for quite some time. The same fucking squad. And yet, look what Flick has done with them as opposed to what Xavi did with them. The same exact squad. The only two players that changed from Xavi's last season, which was an absolute disaster, where we didn't win anything, and we got humiliated by freaking Girona twice, and Villarreal, and Real Madrid, and Athletic Club de Bilbao. We got humiliated by everybody. Horrible season. We don't win anything. And literally, the next season, a few months later, Hansi Flick with Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, that's the only two changes to the squad, he goes and wins 3 trophies. I've been saying that, by the way. And people called me anti-Barca. Now that Laporta's saying it, watch them all of a sudden. Yeah, he's right. Fuck you. Anyways. But 100%, I agree with Laporta here with the same players. His Flick is winning, but I don't know if that's what's hurting Xavi. I don't think that's why. I don't think Xavi's sitting in front of his to be like, fuck, this team is winning. Fuck them. I think he's hurt because you begged him to stay, you convinced him to stay, and then you turn around and fire him. But the last paragraph, Laporta also saying, well, you know, it hurts me that Xavi's using Echevarria to hurt me. Kind of like to try to discredit the whole thing that Xavi said that it's Echevarria who's running the club. But here's the problem, Laporta. Whether Xavi's telling the truth or not, whether it is Echevarria running the club or it's not Echevarria running the club, why the fuck is he there? How about that? I don't think Laporta realized what he just did right there. He thinks he's defending the allegations, but why the fuck is he there? He wasn't elected by any Soci to the board. He was not hired by Barcelona. He has no official role. Whether he runs the club or doesn't run the club, he shouldn't be there to begin with. So he's over here, oh, I can't believe Xavi attacked him. Alejandro Echevarria defended him until the end. Why the fuck is defending him? Why the fuck is he there? I don't care if he defended him or not. He shouldn't be there to begin with. Anyways, we continue. Behind Xavi, there is someone who is using him, and that is Victor Font. He is trying to muddy the waters. The complaint from a member also worked in his favor. It gave him credibility. Talking about that lawsuit that was filed, accusing Laporta of siphoning money from the club through the inflated commissions. Reaffirming his stance, Laporta added, these are the 3 hardest decisions I've ever made. Messi, Koeman, and Xavi. I did it with Barca's interest at heart. I had 2 of them as players, and these are decisions you have to make. They are legends of Barca. Barca cannot be run with a computer. It's about feeling. Barca is above players and presidents. But not above your buddies that you surround yourself with that have no official roles. And again, you know, with the whole Barca cannot be run with a computer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it also cannot be run like you're running it, my friend, which is surround yourself with your buddies and let them make decisions even though they have no official roles and even though nobody fucking voted for them. But anyways, it's getting ugly. It's getting ugly between Font and Laporta. I don't like it one bit. I don't like Font. I don't like Laporta. It's getting nasty. I think we would have had a much better election had each of them just focused on their campaigns, or their platforms. Well, Laporta doesn't really have a platform. But anyways, that's it. That's the whole interview. I know it was long. I know it's a lot of information to process. So let's do some comments, and then we'll end the live. And then, of course, I will be making a video. Where did we leave off? I think we left off here. Prasco says, believe Xavi and Messi are the 2 biggest liars in La Liga, Laporta and Tebas. Well, hard choice. Fair enough, fair enough. Let's see. Barca Got Culture says, chill, Mo. These kids don't know those raps. Damn, I guess I'm showing my age, huh? With those raps. Reaper X says, I believe Xavi and I give him my full support. Laporta's a big fat liar. If you know the situation of the club and did not have money, why promise Xavi the return of Messi and then make a U-turn? Fair enough. Fair enough. Lorana X says, oh my God, yes, Pat, I would have loved to see that brawl from Brazil when Rudiger needs Celta Vigo player on the ground. Very similar, kneel to the face. Yeah, that was crazy, man. You guys need to see it. You guys need to see it. Sabbath says, if Laporta lose election, Hansi Flick leaves, then which coach we should go for? By the way, Flick has not said that. Flick just said, I prefer continuity. At no point he has said, if Laporta loses, I'm leaving. Okay? Let's just make that clear. Also, if Flick leaves because Laporta loses, there's not much we could do. We cannot base who runs the club on who the coach wants to be running the club. Don't get me wrong. I love Flick, and I hope he stays for as long as possible, even though he's not going to be here for many years. He's already said it, right? He wants to retire. I love Flick. I think we haven't had a good coach since Luis Enrique, because I think Valverde, Setien, Koeman, and Xavi were all trash. And I want Flick to stay for as long as possible. But we can't base who our president is on what the coach wants. What if Flick says, I want Bartomeu, and if Bartomeu doesn't come to the club, I'm leaving? What, should we go and bring back Bartomeu? Of course not, right? But again, Flick has not said that, and even if he did, we cannot base who runs the club on who the coach wants to run the club. That is not up to the coach. That is up to the majority of the socios. And if the socios want Laporta, then so be it. It's got to be Laporta. Not what Flick wants, what the socios want. It's not how a pluralistic club works. Let's see. Seymour says, get your popcorn ready. Yeah, for real. And Reaper X says that Echevarria is the advisor of Laporta, and he always listens to him. That's why Alemany, Jordi Cruyff, Ferran Reverter, and other members leave Barcelona, because Laporta listened to this guy. Yeah. Also, what's his name? I forgot his name. The vice president, the treasurer, he also left. Again, more than 30 plus board members have left because of that shit. Have all resigned, but nobody cares, man. They're just like, as long as the team is winning, you know, it sucks, but it's the reality. Ahmad says, Mo, who would you want to be our president? Me. Just kidding. I'll be a terrible president. I'll be sleeping in, and I'll be showing up to the games and getting drunk in the stands, and people will be like, yo, look at Barcelona's president. He's fucking crazy. And I'm all like, woohoo, let's fucking go. Fucking slapping Florentino and punching Javier Tebas and jumping onto the pitch and fighting the refs. It would be crazy. It would be mayhem. Fuck, man. At this point, honestly, I don't even know. It's such a shit show. I kind of wanted to hear what Syria had to offer, because he was kind of, him and Xavi Villajuana were kind of like, all right, this is what we have to offer. And, you know, Laporta and Font were over here fucking brawling each other. But, you know, neither Syria nor Villajuana made the cuts. So now it's Font and Laporta. And I don't know. I don't know. Anyways. Valeriano says, if in case Flick leaves in future, maybe he should be Fábregas. Maybe. You know, I don't want to think about that, because I want Flick to stay as long as possible. But obviously, at some point, we're going to have to think about that, because we know Flick doesn't want to stay at Barca forever. He's 61, right? Or 61. And he eventually wants to retire. He said it. You know, he wants to spend time with his grandkids. So, unfortunately, eventually, we're going to have to think about it. But right now, I don't want to think about it. I want Flick to stay for as long as possible. But yeah, maybe Fábregas. He's proven, you know, to be a great coach in Como. He's a hot commodity right now. But I remember going from Como to Barca is a big jump. I think he needs more experience. Maybe we'll see what Giuliano Belletti. You know, he did amazing with Juvenil A, and we'll see how he does with Barca Athletic, and it's the natural progression, right? We'll see what future holds for him. Maybe Rafa Marquez, right? He did amazing with Barca Athletic. Now he's with the Mexican national team, getting more experience. Maybe one day Rafa Marquez can come back and surprise us with the first team. There's options. But like I said, right now, I'd rather not think about it. And Valeriano says, Mo, maybe Xavi thought Laporta will sign the CVC deal. No, the CVC deal was it that same summer? I can't remember. I don't know. But neither Xavi nor Laporta are denying that this deal was going to happen. And none of them are denying that or mentioning the financial fair play. Right? None of them are saying, oh, got denied because financial fair play, right? Xavi's saying it happened because Laporta killed it because of his re-election. Laporta saying, no, it's Jorge Messi who killed it because Messi didn't want the pressure. Anyways, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my God, we're over the hour mark. This was long. A lot of information, I know. Well, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a different podcast. We just covered one thing only, which was the interview. I think because it merited the coverage being everything that was said. But anyways, there you have it. Xavi's words, Laporta's words, even Javier Tebas' words. You be the judge. You decide who's telling the truth, who's not. I gave you the breakdown. I gave you my opinion. The rest is in your hands. Thank you guys for watching. I will be posting another video in a little bit, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, be scarce.